Many of us hoped that by August, the coronavirus pandemic would be under control. Children would be returning safely back to their schools. Americans would be off the unemployment line, and the economy would be on a road to recovery. Sadly, most of our progress towards just that wiped out in July, our worst month yet during this health crisis. The tri-state more than doubling the case count, some restrictions, even closures put back in place. As we struggle to gain an edge on this virus, many Americans are waiting for a helping hand from Capitol Hill. Joining me now from D.C. is Kentucky Senator and Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Senator, we know that you are in the midst of an intense negotiation on the next stimulus bill. Senator, what most people here at home want to know is when will Congress agree on something that puts actual relief dollars into our struggling local economies?
Well, I sure hope the answer is soon. The administration, led by the Treasury Secretary, is engaging with the Speaker of the House. We obviously have to have both the administration and congressional Democrats on board. I'm in the middle of discussing it all with them as well. We need an additional boost. Davis County, Owensboro, has already gotten $27 million from the CARES Act, which we came together and passed back in March and April. But I think the economy still needs a boost, and I've laid down a proposal that Senate Republicans think makes sense, focused on kids, jobs, and hospitals and health care. And it also includes liability protection so that hospitals and doctors and nurses and universities and K through 12 educators are not consumed by lawsuits related to how the coronavirus was handled. And that would protect people from frivolous lawsuits. Unless they were engaged in gross negligence or intentional misbehavior, they shouldn't be subjected to an epidemic of lawsuits on the heels of the pandemic, which is going to be with us until we get a vaccine. And you know, from our previous discussions, I always want to remind people, when they ask me what can I do, wear a mask, practice social distancing, help prevent the spread until we get the vaccine, which is at the earliest possible time going to be later this year or early next year.
Senator, Republicans and Democrats can't agree on much. We know that. But from reports coming out of Washington, we do understand that both parties support another round of checks sent directly to Americans. Why is that a crucial point of this next bill?
Yeah, I think any bill we do should include another direct cash payment for people below a certain income level. For example, those in the hospitality field who work for hotels and restaurants have just been hammered during the pandemic. They really need additional cash assistance. In the bill that I put forward as a starting place to begin the discussion, $1,200 into those folks, similar to what we did in the CARES Act several months ago. We also need to make sure that unemployment insurance is on firm footing. One of the mistakes we probably made in the CARES Act was that some people are making more staying at home than going back to work. I think we need to adjust that in a way that unemployment compensates for a significant percentage of lost wages, but doesn't make it more attractive for you to stay home and your neighbor go back to work. I think we can fix that and help the states secure underpinning for unemployment insurance for months to come, because we're going to have a high unemployment period here for quite a while.
Now, the president has said he is considering signing an executive order to push through extensions like the federal eviction moratorium. If he has the legal ability to do that, is it something you support?
Well, hopefully he won't have to do that. Hopefully we can reach an agreement with our Democratic friends to fix both of those issues. If we can't, then I think the president is right in taking a look at doing it by an executive order if he's got the authority to do that.
Circling back to unemployment, Senator, what about all the people that are still on the unemployment line? We know the two sides are going back and forth, as you mentioned, on the amount of extra weekly benefits that should be included. But what else? What can be done to get Americans back to work sooner rather than later?
Well, the PPP loans have really helped. $5.2 billion has come into Kentucky for 48,000 small businesses. Those loans are only available if you maintain employment. So many people are being continued to get a check under the PPP program, and it's kept a lot of businesses alive. We need to do another round of funding for the PPP program. Because for many of those businesses, the money has run out, and we don't want those people to be exposed to unemployment any longer. So continued support for PPP, small business loan program, underwriting unemployment insurance at the appropriate level, and $1,200 checks straight into the pockets of people who make below a certain amount of money, all would be a part of a package that I would support and Senate Republicans by and large would support.
Now, one of the early critiques of those PPP loans was that they were not going to the businesses or industries that needed them most. How do you ensure another round does get to the right people?
Well, it was designed to go to small businesses. Larger businesses were not eligible for it. So it clearly was designed to target small businesses, mom and pop operations, people who had, 0 to 50 employees. Larger companies could potentially access a program over at the Federal Reserve, but PPP definitely was designed for smaller businesses.
Senator, we just spoke one-on-one with Governor Beshear on Monday about the return to the classroom and the added pressure that both educators and communities are facing as they try to keep everyone safe, put the right infrastructure in place to continue education, and the policies that will support everyone if and when this virus reaches our schools. Senator, will education and local governments be a top priority in this next round?
Education is a top priority in the bill that I put forward, $105 billion straight down to K through 12 and colleges and universities. If the local decision is to get back to school in person, we want to support that. If the local decision is to continue remotely, we want to support that. But I think America can't get back to normal until kids are back in school. And obviously the best way to be in school is to be there in person, but that's a local decision, not something we can dictate from Washington.
Senator, there have also been reports that the next bill will include money for things not directly related to this pandemic. We know last week the president was pushing for funding for a new FBI building. Why is time being wasted on negotiating deals that aren't directly tied to this health crisis? Wouldn't help reach Americans much quicker if Congress and the administration stuck to the most direct forms of relief in this bill?
Yeah, I don't think the FBI building is the kind of project we want in this bill, and I told the administration that. The Democrats that also, in the bill that passed the House, had a tax cut for high-income people in liberal states. We ought not to be cutting taxes for rich people in certain states either. So I think in the final agreement, we ought to get rid of all of these things that are unrelated to our fight against COVID-19.
Senator, is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I think we've covered it. Good to talk to you again, Jessica.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us, and we look forward to seeing what ends up being in that final bill.
Thank you.